Specifically, I manage all travel accounts, so airlines, hotels, and I'm here to walk you quickly through what basically Google AdWords is, how it can help you, and the specifics behind how exactly it works on Google.com. So the agenda today is a quick introduction, which will be somewhat a summary of what Tarek just explained, key terms and concepts about how AdWords works, what are the typical account structures in AdWords, and why do we do all this in the first place. So before we describe what AdWords is, it's important to remember how Google started in the first place. Google's original mission was to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. So it originally started as a search engine, trying to figure out how you can answer people's queries or searches, and how you can collect data from the internet and display it to the user to answer these queries. So again, as Tarek mentioned, that means that Google is in the connection business. So we want to connect users that are searching online to the content they are looking for, and in turn we want to connect you, marketers, to all the customers that you are trying to target. So where exactly do ads show on Google.com? You'll notice that the blue area is called the paid advertising area, where all your ads will end up showing. And the red area is called the organic results area, and these cannot be bought or paid for. These are organic results that you get up there based on how relevant your site is to users' search. So what are the elements of an AdWords ad? The first thing is there's something called keywords, which is what you bid on in order to show your ads when a user makes a specific search. Then there's the ad itself, and then there's the landing page, which is the page of your business. So what's the value proposition from AdWords? We call it the 3 R's. First is reach. You have real-time distribution at a massive scale. So in every market you're operating in, you're going to be reaching millions and millions of users in real time. Then you're going to have much higher relevance than other channels. So your ad is only seen by people who are looking for exactly what you have to offer and what you are bidding on. Third is something called ROI, which you would definitely be familiar with. Because AdWords uses a pay-per-click model, we ensure that you're paying only for qualified leads. And we like to use the analogy that with AdWords, it's sort of like the sniper effect, where you're targeting specific users, while other channels like, for example, TV, it's more of a shotgun effect, where you're not really sure who you're reaching, but you're reaching them en masse. So before we move on, a couple of key terms and concepts that you should be familiar with and with their definitions. We use words such as impression and click, CTR and CPC. So what do these mean? When you're on Google.com and you make a search and then you see a bunch of ads on the page, as I showed earlier, whenever you see this ad, this is called an impression. If you find that ad interesting and you end up clicking on it, that is called a click. From these two metrics, we have something called CTR, which is a click-through rate, and it's a percentage value, and it's calculated as the number of clicks over the number of impressions of your ad. And then CPC, which is cost per click, is the cost that you will be paying for each click that a user makes on your ad. And it's important to note here that impressions are free, so even if your ad gets shown 1 million times, you will pay nothing. Only when it is actually clicked will you pay the CPC. So how exactly does Google determine which ads to show, when to show them, and which rank to show them in? So ad rank is determined by two things. The first is something called quality score, which relates to the relevance of your ad to the user. And the second is called max CPC, which relates to how much you are willing to pay to appear on the top few positions on the Google search results page. The quality score, as you can see, is determined by a combination of factors, including the click-through rate, the keyword and ad text relevance, as well as the quality of your landing page. This third point is pretty important and is sometimes overlooked. It's important that your website, as Tariq mentioned, is optimized for as good a user experience as possible. Your aim ultimately at the end of the day is sales, so you want to make your user go from the ad click to the final booking in as easy workflow as possible without making it too complicated to navigate the site. And then the max CPC is very simple. It's just the highest dollar amount you're willing to pay for a click on your ad. And these two multiplied together give you something called the ad rank, which determines where exactly your ad appears on the search result page. So if we take, for example, two advertisers, for argument's sake, one is called Mario, one is called Luigi. Mario has a quality score of 1.8, Luigi has a quality score of 1.0. Mario has slightly bigger advertising budgets. Luigi has slightly bigger advertising budgets, so he's willing to pay 65 pence per click, while Mario is only willing to pay 40. Some people may think, okay, the one who's bidding the highest will naturally appear first, but this is not true, because what the Google algorithm tries to do is reward people or reward advertisers that are most relevant to the user, not necessarily who pays more or anything like that. So in this case, 1.8 times 0.4 ends up with a higher ad rank than Luigi's business, so he will appear in position 1. So then the question naturally comes up is, how much am I going to pay per click? This is the first question I get asked when I'm talking about AdWords to someone who hasn't used it before. And the way it works is that after determining your ad rank, Google calculates how much the advertiser should be charged for a click by calculating something called an actual CPC. So what is actual CPC? So as you know, let's say you're bidding on hotels in Dubai, the keyword. You will not be the only one bidding on that keyword because it's so popular. So there will be several advertisers competing to show their ads for that search. And what we do is, I'll use this example. Let's say you have two advertisers, advertiser A and B. A is willing to pay a maximum of $2. B is willing to pay a maximum of $3. What happens is that A will win the auction because his ad rank is higher. However, he will not be paying $2. He will be paying the maximum or the minimum amount needed to exceed the rank of the ad immediately below it. Okay? So what this means is that even though you're willing to pay $2 per click, you most likely will end up paying slightly less, but you will never pay more, obviously. Okay, so why is quality score so important to you and to us? The reason is that it helps us maintain the Google ecosystem by providing incentive to create high quality ads. So at the end of the day, everybody benefits. The users benefit because they're getting relevant ads. Advertisers benefit because they're driving traffic to their site at a very good ROI. And publishers benefit because they maximize earnings with useful ads. So how exactly is quality score calculated and what factors affect it? Here you'll see 5 different factors that affect it. One is the historic click-through rate of your ads. So the better your ads perform and the more relevant they are over time, the higher your quality score will be. Landing page quality is another one, as I talked about earlier. If users stay on your page for a long time and if they find it very easy to make bookings or convert, then your ads will be higher performing. And then finally, relevance of the keyword that you're bidding on to the ads that you're creating, as well as the relevance of the ad to the search query of the user. Okay, next we're going to be talking a bit about account structure and account settings. Just a quick show of hands, how many of you have played around a little bit with AdWords before? Roughly half, a little bit less. Okay, so what exactly is the optimal or recommended structure of an AdWords account, and how exactly do these ads fit into this structure? So you'll notice here that at the top level, when you go onto google.com/AdWords, the first thing you do is you'll create an AdWords account. What this account holds is things like billing information, which currency you want, which time zone you want on your account, things like this. And then within an account, you may have one or more campaigns. And at the campaign level, there's different settings you can change are things like language and location settings. So say today you're advertising in the UAE, but tomorrow you want to expand to Saudi Arabia. You will have to create separate campaigns to target Saudi Arabia. And same thing if you're doing English advertising only today and tomorrow you want to do Arabic. This is where you add extra campaigns to target Arabic users as well. Under campaigns, you have something called an ad group. What an ad group is essentially a way to group interrelated or relevant keywords together so that every time users search for any of those keywords, they get served the same ad. So let's say, for example, you're selling luxury holidays. Keywords such as luxury holidays, premium travel, all these types of keywords will fall under one ad group with a single message that will be served to the user making those searches. So what things should you consider when setting up a campaign? The first things, as mentioned earlier, is the location you're targeting as well as the language you're targeting. What budget you want to set for your campaigns. And budgets usually are set on a daily basis. So for example, let's say you have or you are willing to pay 500 dirhams a day for a specific campaign. This setting will be set at the campaign level. Okay. Now you may ask, what are the typical best practices when I'm creating these ads? Are there any recommendations you suggest, or how would I begin creating these ads? So you look at these two examples of an ad. One of them has a click-through rate of 3.66%, and the other one has a higher click-through rate of 10.97%. The higher your click-through rate, the better for you. Why? Because people are finding your ad more relevant, and every time they see it, they are clicking it. So the problem with the first ad, or the reason why it's not performing as well as the second one, is that it has a very generic headline, okay, and ungrammatical description line. While the second one, the title of the ad contains the word wood fencing, which, as you can see, is the search that the user typed. So naturally, when users see an ad that contains exactly what they were looking for, they will be more inclined to click this ad than any other. Other things that we recommend having in your ads are a clear call to action. So an ad click means that the user intends to do something with that click. So you want to tell them, click me and do something after you click me. And here we say, call or visit one of our showrooms. So the users knows that when they click that ad, they will be either calling or visiting or getting the directions to any one of your showrooms. Other simple things that you can work on are intercapitalized URL. So here, for example, you'll see that the F, the O, and the O are capitalized, making it more readable, making the URL more readable. So these are just a subset of all the many tweaks you can do to your ads. So then we come to the question of, okay, when I'm bidding on keywords, what options do I have on how to bid on these keywords? There are basically 4 options. The first one is called broad match. And what this means is that, let's say you're bidding on the word used book in bold here. Your ad will appear on any keywords that are slightly similar to this used book keyword. So for example, used books, used literature. So literature here is very related to book, which means your ad will show there. And this match type gives you the greatest coverage in your campaigns. Then there's something called phrase match, which essentially is a narrower type of targeting when you're bidding on keywords, and allows you to make sure that the term used book is exactly present in any of your users' queries. For example, if someone looked for buy used book or rare used book online, all these keywords will end up showing your ad. If you want to become much more in control and very specific in which keywords you're bidding on, there's something called exact match. So if you bid on used book, as done here with the square brackets, for example, your ad will only appear on this term. It will not appear on any of these or any of these. Finally, there's something called negative match. For example, let's say you have a brand-sensitive website or business, and you don't want to appear on any keywords that contain negative connotations, such as, okay, this is not a great example, but let's say you're a hotel and you want to take out, for example, any searches for people who are looking for your phone number. So you would remove the term contact us. You would add a negative keyword that says contact us or phone number, because you paying for a click where the user gets your phone number is not really the purpose of your website online, at least when it comes to AdWords advertising. Okay, so why exactly do we need AdWords, and what can it do for your business? I'm going to play a small video here which shows how a company based in Beirut, Lebanon, called Mosaic Marble was able to increase their sales and expand their business significantly using AdWords.
My name is Karina Assi, and I'm the product manager of Mosaic Marble, and these are my mosaics. And this is my husband.
Hi, I'm Tony Assi, I'm the chairman and founder of Mosaic Marble.
Mosaic Marble is a Lebanese company that manufactures hand-cut marble mosaics. We produce mosaics for hotels, bathrooms, kitchens, spas, basically anywhere, indoor or outdoor. We started 10 years ago as a small company to export our mosaics mainly to the USA.
We tried several advertising means such as offline advertising, banners and other websites, and we found that Google has the most effective conversion rate compared to other media. We opened a website called mosaicmarble.com and started advertising it on Google AdWords. We started feeling that there is a large demand on our products under a sales increase. After a few months, with the help of Google AdWords team, we came up with the idea of expanding the coverage to target several countries and languages. Quickly, our network expanded from one website to 12 websites. We were surprised to find out on how low was the cost of advertising compared to other traditional mediums. Thanks to Google AdWords, our number of employees increased from 8 to 40 in less than a year time.
Thanks to Google AdWords, we're happy and proud to have our mosaic artwork spread in public places, homes, spas, hotels, all around the world. Yes!
So I'm open to Q&A now. If you have any questions, please raise your hand and somebody will come with the mic.
Is there any way that we can find out what's the most popular keywords in searches?
Yeah, there is a way. The question was, what's the most? Do we have any tools to find out what's the most popular keywords for any business you're interested in? If you do go to google.com/AdWords and you create an account, no need to set up any. It's a very simple process. Within that, within AdWords, there's something called the Google Keyword Tool. Okay, and if you can't find it, you can just Google it as well. It will come up and it will allow you to input specific keywords that you're interested in, and it will show you what other related keywords are available that you can bid on, and it will also sort them by popularity.
I wanted to know if there are ways for me to know the quality score on my website.
So quality score is a concept that's applied to your keywords and your ads rather than your website. Although your website does have some measure of quality to it, but AdWords won't figure that out for you. But if you do want to figure out the quality score of your keywords and ads, within AdWords there's a column that's called quality score, and it shows you roughly whether your score is out of 10, is it good, is it bad, average. It will tell you all that.
Thanks. Is that before we publish the ad or during the ad campaign?
So it has to be after the ad campaign starts. Why? Because quality score is related to CTR, which only happens when your ad is live.
CTR is not an outbound code.
Is not what?
CTR is not an outbound code.
CTR is a is something that not directly you can't set it yourself, but you can make changes such as the optimizations we showed earlier, with changing the ad text a bit, call to action, all that, which will impact your your receipt.
I can pay for SEO only on the organic search on the first page. Why should I spend on AdWords?
So the question is, if you are in number one position on the organic search results, why do you need to spend on AdWords? There are many reasons, but one of them, the most important one, is that when you appear on both advertising section and the organic section, there are studies that show that this increases your conversion rates and your click-through rates significantly, as opposed to whether you are appearing only on the organic search results page. And the other reason is, I'm assuming, are you in hotels, airlines, or let's assume it's hotels for the case of argument. If you are talking about bidding on your brand only, you may come up as number one. But if you are talking about long-tail keywords that have not been seen before, and as Tariq mentioned, there's 16% of those, you will most likely not be appearing number one on those. So that's where online advertising and AdWords will help push you up to the top.
How do you know that the clicks are genuine, not by some bots?
Sorry, can you repeat?
How do you know the clicks are genuine, done by humans and not by bots?
Okay. There are many filters and spam filters and bot filters that we have on Google.com, and these are continuously improved every day, every week, every month, and they make sure that clicks, for example, that are done by spammers or bots or anything like that are not taken into account, and you are not charged for them.
Hi, I'm from a digital marketing company based in Dubai, so we do a lot of AdWords campaigns for our clients. One thing I wanted to ask is, every time we go for an approval, we have to connect to the Ireland team, and the timings are just between 1 and 5, with Saturday and Sunday being off as well. So any likelihood of this changing in the near future, so we can be a little more flexible with our clients?
You're talking about text ads, right?
Text ads, yes. And sometimes display as well. We need
So,
approvals or
yeah.
some help.
So usually on text ads, they're approved between 10 minutes to an hour or two, automatically. They don't require any manual intervention. So I'm not sure if you're...
GDN.
Yeah, for GDN, it's a different different story, because there are many policies we have that say that a display ad cannot contain XYZ,
Right.
and these have to be manually checked. Generally, if you have a contact person in Dublin that you get approval from, you're lucky.
Yes, we do, but the timings are really tight.
Yeah.
It's 1 to 5 in the evening, and obviously Friday, Saturday is our weekend, and Saturday, Sunday is their weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, so unfortunately, I'm not aware of any plans to make a local team for that.
Thanks.
24/7 Dublin, people won't be really happy working 24/7 in Dublin. But he's talking about approvals. Generally, if you're setting up campaigns, GDN campaigns especially, you need time to come up with the creatives, for example. So if you plan ahead maybe 1 or 2 days, you should be in good shape. Sorry? Yeah. All right. Moving on. Thank you.
Thank you very much.